Mr. Weiss, do you still wish to speak? You may come forward.
Gerry Weiss, Precinct 8. Mr. Moderator, may I have an additional minute?
We're going to have a quick vote. All those in favor of giving Mr. Weiss an additional minute, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say no.
Thank you.
You're good to go.
I see the question on 21 as, can we increase our affordable housing stock through a tax incentive in a way that won't be damaging to the town? I think we're at this particular point because of the decision by the current planning board, with town council's blessing, to very narrowly interpret the 2005 Article 15 inclusionary zoning bylaw. This interpretation has resulted, for all practical purposes, in no inclusionary zoning bylaw of any use. We can continue to rant and rave, as I have done, about that decision, but in the end it stands, and it will continue to stand until a court overturns it or we successfully overturn it in town meeting. Meanwhile, 2 buildings have gone up downtown without any affordable housing, and a third has been permitted. If we don't pass 21, it's not clear when another IZ article will come to town meeting. I realize this is not IZ. I'm amending this on the fly because it was going to be before 2022. Possibly that won't matter. Possibly no new large apartment proposals will be permitted before we do pass a better IZ article. Or perhaps more will come before the planning board and more will be permitted without affordable housing included. Each time this happens, Amherst goes further below the 10% affordability line, bringing us ever closer to Chapter 40B. And every time a new housing development is permitted this way, we lose another opportunity to provide more affordable housing. So, is 21 worse or better than the status quo? The status quo being no affordable inclusionary zoning. The problems in 21, which I'm sure we're going to hear about, are they worse than more large apartment complexes being built without an affordability option? I believe 21 is much better than nothing, especially now that a mandatory IZ article has been defeated. This article asks that we find a way to make whole any profit losses a developer will incur by including affordable units in their development. That just seems fair. As Mr. Pooler has demonstrated, the formula tries to account for income loss minus the tax gain. I believe a developer should not lose money on a housing project, nor should they make more than they would without the affordable units, and I think this article accomplishes these criteria. A tax incentive process spreads the cost out also among all taxpayers, and in a pretty small way, as you've seen by the numbers that Mr. Pooler put up. It also spreads affordable housing around town, without footprints having to be enlarged, without floors having to be added, without density bonuses being added, in short, without the specter of inappropriately sized and located buildings in Amherst. And it provides for a variety of housing without there being ghettoized low-income housing. Tax incentives are simple and clean. It was a method used by Amherst when I was on the select board to help the owners of the Cushman Market building renovate their building and reopen for business after being closed for many years. I believe that was money well spent. We have to look at what are we going to get for what cost. The numbers Mr. Pooler has demonstrated suggest getting affordable units at a very bargain price. I think the chart he used up there says $40,000 a unit. That's pretty cheap. Some will say that tax incentives will come with the enlarged footprints and special permits. That could be true, but that's not what this article is about. That will always be up to the planning board. This article, if passed, gives us the possibility of simply providing affordable living at a small cost without the need for special permits and/or inclusionary zoning. It will be voluntary, not mandatory. What we have happening is that we have enlarged footprints and height increases without affordable units right now. There's no reason to believe this will stop. Let's at least give developers the chance to add affordable units at no cost to themselves. This article gives that option. Thank you.
It is 8:59, so if you want to vote for a town meeting coordinating committee seat but have not yet done so, now is pretty much your last opportunity. The polls close in 1 minute. So do so now if you haven't done so yet. And